Today we are talking to Al Cook, head of product at Twilio for Flex, and we are discussing how they completely re-engineered the way that they consume software for enterprises. It is 100% unbelievable. Check it out right now. What's Flex?
So Flex is our take on contact center. It is really a completely different way of building a contact center. What we wanted to do is allow enterprises to get out of this cycle where if you want to customize something, the only way you can do that today is really with premise-based hardware gear from an Avaya, Cisco, or Genesys. And you can eventually bludgeon it into submission if you throw enough time and money and professional services. But it takes 12, 24 months to make every change. Right? You can't A/B test something if it takes 12 months to do your A, 12 months to do your B, and then you decide actually both of those are really bad ideas. Right? But at the same time, the only other choice they have today is a cloud contact center application where you can get going really quickly, but you can't change the thing. It doesn't really scale to large enterprises. So we look for a different way of how do you deliver contact center. We think of it as an application platform, essentially a programmable application. So you can deploy it out of the box. So one click and you have a contact center that is fully working with no code required, where it supports voice, video, text messaging, chat, Facebook messaging, screen sharing, co-browsing, Twitter, all of that out of the box. You don't have to do anything at all. All the agent user interface, the supervisor user interface, the admin user interface. But the thing is, normally when you put a user interface on top of APIs, on top of an application, that's what constrains you. That's what locks you down. All of a sudden, you can't make the changes that you want, right? And the decisions that a product manager has made are now the constraints that you have to work within. So what we've learned is Twilio, it was actually our 10-year birthday yesterday. And what we've learned in 10 years is it's only when you can give developers the creativity, the freedom to do whatever they want, that you unlock the potential of what they can do.
And that you don't lose them.
Right. And so we spent a long time thinking, how do we build a user interface in a completely different way where it works out of the box, but you can change anything? So this is a user interface that is essentially built of a whole series of micro components. For developers, it's built on React with Redux.
Oh, nice.
So you can choose to change that at any level that you want. So there isn't anything that you can't tear apart and change. Any button, you can change what it says, what it does, or whether it exists. You can add your own components inside of there. So you get this out-of-the-box experience, but you want to add your own custom channel, you can do that. You want to add your own sales dashboard, your own performance data, you can do that. You want to integrate your own workforce optimization capabilities, you can do that. And to the extent, this is not just changing colors and icons and themes and fonts. Of course, you can do that, but you can really tear the entire thing apart. You can integrate it with your CRM however you want.
So one of those things, so as a developer, I'm just curious, it's one of those things where you have a structure and if you put files in there, it will overwrite it, or?
Yeah, exactly. So essentially you can essentially NPM install anything that you want inside of Flex and then attach it any way you want.
Dude,
and so for the developers, we provide complete access to the JSX tree, which is essentially the tree of components. And so you can interact with that at the highest level or the very lowest level. You can change absolutely anything that you want. And then that's all built on top of Twilio's APIs for the different channels, Task Router, our skill-based routing engine, Studio, which has a visual drag-and-drop interaction flow editor. So the point here is you can change anything and you can choose, I just want to make some tweaks with a point-and-click configurator, or I want to deploy a quick serverless function to add something, or I really want to dig deep into this. I wanted to have a product where, as a product manager, no decision that I make ever constrains you. It comes out of the box so that it works, and you don't have to make every decision. You only have to make the decisions you care about. But there shouldn't ever be any situation where your customer service team is saying, hey, we really want to support, Snapchat as the next most important customer engagement channel, or we really need to integrate with our email, or we need to integrate with our custom CRM. Anything, no matter how crazy and far out there, anything that you want to do, you can do it inside of Flex.
So this is really interesting to me, right? Because part of me is thinking, is it an open source thing that they customize around their own, or does it actually run in your world?
So it runs in our world.
Okay.
It's not open source because the challenge with open source is the moment you fork it and then you make your customizations, it's very, very hard to get those updates right. And that's what you see in the premise-based world as well. Like, you make some changes and now it's really, really hard to get updates and get continual improvements.
Right.
In this, you install the components that you want, but they run within Flex. And so everything else in Flex can update naturally around you. And you can choose whether those updates happen automatically or whether you pin it to like a major or a minor or a bug fix version.
This is like I haven't seen this happen before. That's why I'm wrapping my mind around it as you're telling me about it.
So we've spent a long time thinking about the philosophy of how do we allow people to customize things but still allow them to inherit upgrades really seamlessly.
You're solving a much larger engineering problem.
Yeah, so we really think of this as, I believe this is the future of how enterprises consume software, not just contact center, but software in general, because it's just Flex is not a SaaS contact center. Flex is something different. It's a different way of consuming, deploying software where you have total control, but you're not building things from scratch. As Flex gets better, your product gets better, your contact center gets better immediately. Well, the thing is
it's a good thing. Like in other industries, people are going to copy the patterns you're using in order to deploy this context of software, this style of software.
I think the challenge in anyone wanting to copy this is Flex is really built on 10 years of Twilio, right? So we have this platform where you can interact with any single layer. And so you can dive down into the very deepest API at the very bottom of the stack, or choose any API higher up depending on what you're wanting to do. And that is an architecture that's taken us 10 years to build of all of these APIs. And you can't, like, APIs have to be in your DNA. Like developer experience is a philosophy. It's not a strategy that you can just start one day of, we want to be more developer friendly.
I'm more thinking about the next generations coming up. They're going to come up and use your tools and see how you structured things, and when they go build their worlds, they're going to be thinking of structuring code bases similar to how you guys are.
Potentially. I mean, one of the things that we thought about in Flex is this is not just for enterprises, this is for our partner ecosystem as well. So, so you look around this show floor, a large majority of the cloud contact center applications are actually built on Twilio behind the scenes. Yeah. And so with Flex, every single one of those cloud contact center applications just got better as well, because you can now choose, like, if you say, well, hey, I really love my Zendesk Talk implementation, but I just want to change one thing and I want to have control over one more thing, you can, for example, build your IVR in Flex and then drag on the Zendesk Talk widget and send the rest of the interaction over to Zendesk Talk. So you really get to kind of choose, where do you want to interact with this? Do you want to have control over everything, or are you really happy with a fully prepackaged solution apart from a couple of different elements, and you can choose exactly where you want to be?
So did you notice, Sue, I know Flex with the APIs, right? Did you notice, did this come about, this idea, this concept, because you saw how people were using the APIs, or you engaged with them and said, how are you guys using it? And then they were writing this code over and over, and you said, wait, we'll help you out.
Yeah, so I've been building contact center products for 15 years. I've been at Twilio for 5 years, working with folks like ING, Liberty Mutual, who are building contact centers on top of Twilio. And, over and over again, the same challenges come up of, we really want to have control of everything, but we need a huge feature set, right? We need workforce optimization. We need workforce management. We need to support all of the channels. And so our thought process was, how do we allow you to get all of that so you're not reinventing the wheel? This is not, you have to build from the Lego building blocks up. You have something out of the box. And then we listen to our customers. I, as a product manager for Flex, I sit on Slack teams with pretty much every single customer building contact centers on Twilio, or the large ones above, a few thousand agents. And we talk to them every single day about what they're trying to do, what they wish they could do, and we just built that into Flex to try and listen and enable them for them.
What are you most excited about today that you guys are working on that the world hasn't seen yet?
The thing that I'm most excited about is this is not something where you can kind of tinker around the edges, right? This is not something where, okay, well, you have an interface to change this one thing, and in the UI you can embed something in the corner. This is truly a platform approach where it's not just a UI that you can change. you get hooks at every single layer. So if you think about stuff like, how do you add machine learning into a contact center?
Right.
Like, you can't go down the path of, oh, well, my vendor has a machine learning box that you can buy and deploy, because you need to be able to hook into every single layer of the stack, every single step of the customer journey, right? Like, it needs to be more deeply woven into the DNA of the thing itself. And so being able to hook machine learning into the layers really deep down the stack, and then being able to customize what you want in the user interface itself. To me, the amazing thing is how quickly folks like Liberty Mutual have been able to go from the out-of-the-box sort of vanilla experience to something that's really, really customized. And it's not just customized, it's not just that they've changed the IVR, or just that they've changed the routing, or just that they've tweaked the UI, that they're able to do something like all the way through the stack and really create an experience that covers everything.
Awesome.
It's kind of amazing.